Hello everyone, my name is James Young and I'm taking the EDC or EDU 709 course with all of you guys. And for my final project, I opted for microlectures as my technology innovation of choice, but it's actually kind of a lot of different little innovations crammed into one, microlectures being the main focus, but you'll see we're also talking about a flipped class. It's something I've played around with and I'm hoping to delve a little deeper into in the next school year. So this was a nice little entryway for me into that. So what did I do for this project? Well, I made a couple of short video lessons, micro lectures, on two separate topics that we cover in Algebra 1. The first covers graphing linear equations, and the second covers rational exponents, for those of you who are math people and remember what that actually means. I made screencast of Google Slides to make the videos, and I just used Screencast-o-matic, which I'm actually using right now, in order to make those videos. It's kind of a simple process that I've used a few times in the past, and I'm perfecting it and getting better and better at it. What I also did differently that I haven't done before is I enhanced the videos with EdPuzzle. EdPuzzle is a site that I'll give you guys a quick sample of later on that allows you to essentially annotate and also give little mini quizzes while the students watch the video. So instead of them just watching on YouTube, they watch through EdPuzzle, which then kind of pauses the video at certain key points and makes them either answer a question or instructs them that they should take their notes, that sort of thing. So it's a neat little program, and I'll give you guys kind of a sample of that later on for those who don't know about it. And then finally, I also designed a framework for using badges. That was another innovation that I wanted to try out. Big thing is I've tried doing some flipping in the past, and just as my students wouldn't do their homework, they really didn't want to do this watch the video at home thing. So I'm trying to find some ways to get them to want to do it, because I think it could be beneficial for them, and it's just a matter of actually getting them to do it. Couple other reasons why I did this. I think online learning is becoming more and more inevitable. Most of my students, even as just regular high schoolers, end up taking an online class at some point, and many of them, like me, end up taking one or two in college, and I took a couple in undergrad, and of course now obviously we're all getting this ed tech degree fully online, so it's becoming a part of life, and I feel like I teach more than math. I have to teach them all the things that they're going to need as they move forward, and so online learning is just part of it, and I want to give them a little taste of it. I also value self-directed learning. My best students are the ones who really don't even need me. They would just kind of show up because they have to, but honestly, they could go home, read the book, and might just go home, read the book, and get everything they need out of it. So I'm trying to get all of my students closer to that level. Obviously, we're talking about the 1% of students who could and would read the book and learn it. But if we can give some ways to get the students feeling like they're in control of their learning, I think that's important. I think this technology allows for that more, both in the fact that it makes it possible for them to do what fits them individually, and also just the simple fact that they're, essentially playing with the toys they're used to playing with all the time. All the stuff I'm doing can be done on their cell phones and iPads and pods and so on and so forth. So I give them that opportunity. And finally, for kids who don't do well in a traditional teaching environment, this is an opportunity for them to learn outside of that environment. There are students who wouldn't necessarily be able to get into a fully online school, and they might do really well in that, but they don't have that opportunity. So this is kind of a chance for them to just at least get this one chapter where they can learn, oh, you know what, this is something that really works for me, and maybe we can have a conversation one-on-one and talk about some ways to make the class feel more like the freedom and whatnot that's associated with online learning. So it's a taste for them. It's also a chance for some students to realize, holy crap, this is not good for me. And if they get in that point in college where they have a choice between an online class and a traditional class, they know they need to take the online or the traditional class so that they don't get stuck. Here's what I did. I'll kind of click through, show you guys what I've come up with. I use Schoology as a LMS for my class to give everybody one singular place to go to. My school has moved to Google Classroom, and I don't like it. It just doesn't let me do enough, and so Schoology does, and it's free, and it's fairly intuitive. And so it's what I've been using, and I've gotten a little bit better and better at it. in these now 3 years that I've been using it. This will be my third. So I've kind of already started my class up for this year. This is just my second hour course, and the other classes I have are identical. But I kind of started off with these basic class notes, discussions, worksheets. Those are the basic things that I want to have in every class. And then I'm adding this flipped lesson folder. And you'll see I've got it split up into trimesters. We run our courses on trimesters. And if we click into this section 3.1, and you'll see I have one for 7.3 there as well. Give my computer a minute here. It's run a little slow today. You'll see I've embedded my EdPuzzle video for section 3.1a. And so what I'll actually do is just kind of let that first chunk play just so you can kind of see how EdPuzzle works, and then talk a little bit about how these microlectures were developed. So once this gets loaded up, I'll give you guys a quick show through. You'll see it's got me already logged in, tells me I'm ready to start, so on and so forth. It gives the time, all that sorts of thing, basics. But instead of just play, it says start assignment, and you'll notice YouTube still comes up, but ultimately you'll see these little question marks, and those are the points in the video where it's going to stop and ask a question or give a prompt. Now, I would skip to those, but I do have it set up to where it prevents skipping, which is a really nice feature because the kids can't just skip to the end and get the completion code that I have embedded in the video. They have to watch the whole thing in order to get that completion code. So it's kind of a nice little buffer for me to ensure that they're actually doing it, not just skimming through it or what have you. So we'll give this a minute to play through. Welcome students, this is our video for section 3.1 part A. This whole section deals with graphing linear equations, and in this part of the series we're going to talk briefly about what it means to be linear and how we can recognize something as a linear or nonlinear function. So at the end of this video you should be able to determine if a function is linear or nonlinear by examining the three following things: the graph of the function, the equation of the function, and finally the table of the function. I want you to be able to look at any of these three things and tell me with a little bit of calculation, in some cases you want to do that, if it's linear. Okay, so you'll see here it stops the video, pops up over here on the side, basically saying this is a good way to organize your notes, blah blah blah. You guys can read, but the students will see this and they'll know, oh, I should put this down in my notes as some section headers so that as I move on, I can organize my notes and keep things orderly, blah, blah, blah. I'm dealing with 14-year-olds. A lot of them don't take notes. They certainly haven't taken notes up to this point, so I try and stress that. This is a way for me to do it while they're watching a video at home or at lunch or wherever they might be watching it. So it just does these sorts of pauses. Again, it has quizzes. You can do multiple choice. You can do fill in the blank. You can do a couple different options. But the point is that it doesn't let them just sit there and watch the movie without thinking. They have to actually do some stuff as they're doing it. And while yes, it's still possible for them to skate through it, it's a buffer that's put in place. Now, before I run out of time here, I'll click back and show you one more thing I added in with these. So in the section 3.1, I also have this video check quiz. It's basically a one-question quiz that I created in Schoology that allows me to basically have to type in a word. If they select the right word, that shows me they definitely watched the video, and that's how they get their homework points. So it's a way for me to not have to grade them on watching the video, but also still be able to hold them accountable for it. So that's in a nutshell what I did. The videos, go into each topic, and again, I mentioned that I cover 2 separate topics. That was just from the first one. I don't think you guys need to see both of them, but they are both there. So, I mean, to wrap this part up, what do I hope the students get out of this? Number one, subject mastery. I really am hoping that this is an effective means for them to learn. I know students will be resistant to it because it's different, but I also know that some students will jump at it because it's different. Right now, this is set up as the 3rd chapter and then also the 7th chapter. So they have gone through really a month and a half, 2 months of just regular sitting in the class, do your homework, take your quiz and test. This will be an opportunity for them to try learning in a different way. And I think that'll be energizing. Even if they don't like it, at least mixes things up. And I find that when students are energized and they're motivated, they tend to learn better because they actually try. So I'm hoping that that all comes out of this. Hopefully the video and the rest of the videos that I would develop in these chapters would be effective and they'd be able to learn from them. Also, the videos, as the flipped class, they go home, watch the videos on their own time. They basically get the lecture on their own time, and then when they come to me, I use something like Desmos or even just a traditional, pen and paper assignment. But they do it in class. I can arrange it so that they're doing small chunks at a time, doing it in small groups. Basically, I can make it so that the homework itself, one, gets done, and two, is more effective, and that they're actually able to ask their questions and not have to wait a day between, oh, I don't know how to do number 7, wait 12 hours, hey, how do you do number 7, and then I explain it, and then maybe they copy it down, maybe they don't. This way it all happens on the fly. If I see that 13 of my 30 kids don't know how to do number 7, I can stop class and say, hey guys, here's how you do number 7, or here's a good question to ask to help you figure out how to do number 7. All those sorts of things are possible with a flipped classroom, and that's really what I'm hoping to get out of this, is just to help them learn better, even if I'm just doing it one chapter at a time. Secondly, I want them to feel empowered as they can make the decisions on how they're best going to learn. So, maybe they're not morning people. So when I have them second hour at 9 o'clock in the morning, they're still asleep. And it's hard for them to just take in a lecture. But they know that by 7 p.m., they've eaten dinner, they've hung out for a little bit, they've watched a couple episodes on Netflix. Now that's when they're best set to learn. And then they turn on the video and they watch the video for 15 minutes. They can start to discover that about themselves. Are they going to figure it out doing 2 or 3 chapters of this with me as 14-year-olds? Heck no. I'm 27 and I'm still kind of just figuring out how I best learn. But I think this is a good step for them, and I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for them to see what's going to work best for them as they grow and continue on as learners. And then finally, motivation, and a lot of what I'm doing, especially with the badges, which I'll click out before I leave and show you guys what I've come up with for that. But just to get them to want to learn and get them to see that just because the one way doesn't work doesn't mean there are other ways that will work for them. I feel like a lot of kids who disengage and don't want to learn anymore, it's because it's gotten difficult and it doesn't work for them. But once they figure out a way that does work, they go right back to that human desire for, the human desire to learn. So that's what I'm really hoping. Now, you'll notice I forgot something, and that was my badges. I do have badges. This is still really early in development because I found an article talking about using badges more like achievements in video games, which is something that really appeals to me. I know a lot of my students would appeal for that as well. But for it to work the way I want it to, it's going to require apparently a good deal of programming. I reached out to the author of the article I read and asked how he did it, and his response was he has 600 lines of code. Didn't give me that code, he just said that's how he does it. So I've come up with the badges I want to use. I don't know how I'm going to make it work where I don't have to actually go through and grade everything twice, but I've just basically taken, it's all video game themed because my students usually know it by this point in the year. I'm a pretty big nerd. But I also use the popular meme pictures that are on the internet because I know that kids are still pretty into that stuff, and they'll laugh at me about how these are out of date and old and so on and so forth. But this will be an opportunity for them to, again, further garnish some more motivation so that they want to do this stuff, because I think if they just do it, they should do plenty of learning. So if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I'd be glad to share anything that I've come up with. And it's all available publicly with the exception of the Schoology class itself. I'd have to go through some extra steps to get that to you, but look forward to working with you and hearing from you in the feedback. So thank you very much. Good luck on your projects.